like it's come naturally, you know. Sometimes I sit with a friend and she tells me that she want to make a change. 5 minutes after, the energy just come and start to do a healing. Yeah, so this is one story, but I have like sometimes I just walk and I feel like I need to move my hands and stuff like that. So my question is also it's kind of related to her. She asked before, but I didn't understand completely, and I feel like I want more clarity. Should I, because sometimes I don't know what to do. Like, of course, I feel my personal view is like if the energy come to me and it's going through me, even to a person, I just allow it to happen. But I'm curious if should I ask people, should I notify, like, of course, if it's one-on-one, it's more easier. But if it's like someone that, I don't know, just there and I feel like my hand's going, so I'm curious, like, what should I do? What is the, I don't know, right way, but like, what is the, yeah.
Okay, so the body knows more than the mind on a certain level. The body deals with precognition. So when you work with the body, information is implicit, meaning there's no need to translate things into words. Now, verbal language is explicit, which means we need to translate what the body knows into what the mind could know. So language isn't just a personal knowing. Language exists so that we could know things from like a shared space. The answer to your question is situational. There are some people who don't need to know explicitly. They would actually favor not having to translate things because language can limit meaning in a sequential way. The body can handle information non-sequentially. The difference there being, is it going to be one at a time or all at once? The body can handle information all at once, which means, you know, it's the difference between analog and digital technology. In the past, we used to deal with Sony Walkmans and, you know, cassette tapes, but now we're dealing with digital technology where things are happening all at once rather than sequentially, one at a time. There's something about the human that's still sequential because we're still using language. So you can imagine, let's say, okay, I got to read this book in a second, but it's 1,000 pages. There's something inside of us that can download and resonate and hold information that doesn't need to read the book. It's like, I know the essence. Sometimes you would meet a person, it's like, I know you. I don't know you, but I know you. I don't need to know the details. So when we can speak the all at once, a lot more can come through. And sometimes people will be in that space. But sometimes you will meet people who will need context. You need to discern, do they need some information that can open the space? And so that's the difference between trust and insight. Trust is knowing before you know. It's like, I don't know why I need to go there or why I need to talk to that person. I just know. That's something the body would know a lot more than the mind. But then the insight would start to see the connections when you trusted. But there will be many places in the world where people need information and then they would trust. And then insight would come and then that would allow them to trust even more. People experiencing crisis or people who are already going through change, people who are resonating don't need the words as much. I don't know what the percentage would be where you are at. If you are good in that way and people trust you because they know that you're already doing this work, they will surrender and they would just let go. But if you haven't set up the work yet and people don't know that this is about you and then you hold this dimensionality, they will ask for just enough information. So I think we need to develop both techniques, the implicit and the explicit. Because clarity, it's like people deserve to be clear. And sometimes words do that. Discernment means knowing, is there trust here? Because if a person doesn't trust you, you can feel like, I'm being blocked here. Sometimes we judge ourselves. Is it something wrong with me? No, it's because they don't trust you. So we need tools to open the pathways so that the energy would be, like flowing in both ways. But sometimes we just have to walk away if they're really not. The difference is some people are curious, some people are open, some people are ready. And there's separate set of tools for people who are just curious. Some people are closed, some people are curious, some people are open. And then if you're really going to go into it, it's because they're ready. So if they're not yet ready, if they're just open, then just hold back a little bit. If they're just curious. So when you do group work, what gets complicated is sometimes you'll be in a room where some people are closed, some people are curious, some people are open, some people are ready. You need to die to be able to hold that kind of space, because it's scary, like some people are resistant, some people are just all the way there, taking off already. So vibration, music, words, you need to hold some kind of concert where all of the senses, like you want to be strong and you want to be soft, that you enter the space and then they're like, oh, okay, I can trust her. So how do you speak in this way that you can speak to everyone universally, and they feel like, wow, it's like you were speaking to me, like me. And then everyone's saying, no, she was speaking to me. It's like, wow, she can speak to everyone as if you're speaking as one. You need to kind of order the mind, restructure the brain that can allow that to happen. It takes a lot of humility and a lot of confidence to kind of do that, to bring the energy of birth and death at the same time. I don't think we need to worry about this, because I feel like the world is becoming readier and readier. We're inching our way closer to a deeper level of trust, because it feels like in many places it's so messed up that there's no other choice but to kind of go there. It just doesn't seem like it, because very few people are holding that kind of space. So in the beginning, it's usually just more difficult to contextualize what we do. But once some people experience, and then more and more people experience, the rest is history. You just have to walk into the room, sit down, sometimes even just press the play button, and people just go there. And you're like, wow, am I even doing anything here? It's just doing itself. Then you're lucky, So good luck with that. Have fun. You want to enjoy that.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Yeah, I have a question about self-activation, but I don't know if you're gonna talk with us. Or... Yeah. So one more question about self-activation. Like, anyway, my hands moving and healing myself, but so like, how does it work basically?
The body is a language, and when we start to speak, some people go into light language. There are scientific explanations of that, in terms of brain lobes. But when the body speaks, when the body moves, it's still a language. So the best that I can explain this, when you go through the energy, sometimes there's two of you. I've watched some people go into the cosmos, into the universe, super deep, but they're in our retreat center and they actually need to take their flight back home. So very often there's a strange thing where you're so deep, but you're also thinking the way you're thinking, where, okay, I need to take care of the kids and I need to, isn't that interesting that, you're still you, but there's a part that's not you. It's almost schizophrenic. I remember a session that I held for a woman a couple of months ago where she literally felt herself become the wise old woman, but at the same time, she was like a 5-year-old. And then the wise old woman's like, oh, you know so much, come on. And the 5-year-old's like, I can't catch up. Authentically, she was both. And the 5-year-old couldn't hurry up because she's 5 years old. And the wise old woman, she was just like, but I already know it. So you want to be kind to yourself. And when the self-activation happens, you want to recognize that the wise old woman is talking to the 5-year-old. So there's a part of your body that already knows, and then whether that be automatic or you just go ahead and do it, the signals are there. So imagine that these mudras, these kriyas, are like letters of the alphabet, and you're just like formulating sentences. I find language really interesting. It's like when you speak these words to your mom, to the baby, to this, how do you know what you're going to say? So even as you utter the first word, you already completed the sentence. How are you even constructing the sentences when you live in time and you haven't even constructed the thing? How are you able to do that? It means that there's a part of you that lives outside of time, that lives in space, inner space, outer space. And so when your body activates in that way, there's a part that even though it's just starting, it's already happened. It's already happened. You were finished even before you started. So when you're in that level of activation, sometimes an idea comes, write it down. You're gonna lose that once you're not there. Like a dream is so easily forgotten. You want to learn how to move energy, store energy. Translating that into clarity is really important, actually. So God and the goddess are always trying to speak to us. We just don't know how to listen. So develop sign systems with it. It's not necessarily something you would learn from anyone. And as it comes to you, I normally have like a whole bunch of notebooks. Some are more messy, some are more ordered. So I know when science is speaking to me, when philosophy or culture or music or spirit is talking to me, I know when to scribble, when to write neatly in really ordered way, because I know doctors and scientists will be looking at this. Develop compartments in your library mind so that you know where to place things. And when the body moves in this way, see it as an organizational thing. It's usually easier for people to see, okay, I need chaos. I need to destroy all these habits and old things. But when the energy refines itself, you realize that you can organize your room. Like imagine this is my room. These are ideas in my room. And even when you're listening to me, you're probably experiencing like information moving around. Like there are a bunch of words, but there's so much context that's finding order and organization. So the movements help a lot in organizing. Even psychologists have found out that the way children arrive at concepts and words had to begin with movement. The baby was absorbing a lot by moving across the space, sensing the space, walking around the space. It allows them to arrive at words and concepts and meaning. And when you tell a child, okay, you need to behave, stop moving, be a good boy, be a good girl, we're actually limiting their mind. We're colonizing their mind. So there's a reason why we're freeing up the movements, because movement is actually a way of thinking. It just doesn't seem like it because it's not three-dimensional sequential thinking. It's non-linear all at once thinking. So there are scientific explanations that would prove that the energy is actually revisiting the baby brain, the baby mind. And the baby brain is not stupid. The baby brain knows a lot more because it is coming from dimensionality. So to go back to the baby brain and the baby body means freeing up the movement, like physical movement. Kinesthesia is a way of organizing. It's pre-verbal thought, which is non-linear, non-sequential thinking. It's a lot more powerful, like in a way. So keep developing that. Amazing.
Wow. More than expected. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one.
Thank you, Pai. We are fully aware that you have 12 hours time difference, so for you it's after
good.
midnight.
I'm super good.
Thank you.
Hi, Pai. My name is Christina. I don't even know why I'm trying to ask, but here we go. So the past few days, just kind of realized that I was thinking that I'm a trusty person. And it's coming to me that I'm not. And since you start talking, I cried a lot and about everything. Not that I'm not crying usually. And every time you said trust was triggering me back. And I don't know why. And I don't know who to ask. And where to go to find out. I just don't understand what's going on. And I just went a bit inside of me right now while you were talking. And every time I was hearing trust was like, you know, like a button pressed. And I realized that I kind of, mostly of all of my life, I never trust. Not even as a child. I didn't trust there is a God, that there is universe or nothing.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I feel you. You have to then now go into a conversation inside you that also is in conversation with everyone in your life that ever told you that you're not good enough. That's the root. Anyone who's ever told you you're small, that don't be unlimited, don't be big, they programmed you to doubt and to be a skeptical person. So what you're speaking now is huge, because the realization of this already helps you to understand like all your patterns. Like all your patterns were rooted in this one message that you're not good enough. So everything would change from here on. This is your fulcrum. This is your crux. This is your turning point. You would have to use this portal to speak to all of them, not with regret or anger, but just thank you. But I'm done with that story.
I'm still doubting that.
Yeah, it's gonna take time. It's going to be a process. This is what I find really interesting. You can even trust doubt. That's the most ridiculous thing. Trust, even doubt. And what you're speaking is the story of many, of almost everyone, actually, because most of us had the same parents and had the same cultures that were, you know, at a time of hardship when people didn't have the right support systems. So you cannot become a good therapist or a healer if you don't go through this, because you won't understand the mechanisms inside others. That's why this won't be shortcutted. You want to also understand this from a deep place. Thank you.
Thank you. One more question which came up a few times in the trainings, as you know, and we, Sandra and myself, give our answer to that. The question, what about pregnant women coming to sessions? So when it's time to facilitate, what's the saying? So on one side, we say, yes, everybody and every human being is welcome, because the energy is benevolent to the process. At the same time, we feel there's a word of caution. And so we would like to ask you on what to give your insight on that.
Not an inner dance. Like the most powerful experiences I've seen actually come from pregnant women, either first, second, or third term. or trimester, we've never said no. And the process actually allows women to prepare for the actual birthing process. If women aren't able to let go of their fear before the actual birthing, that would show up in the contractions and expansions. So you want to teach them to hold the waves of going up and down, going bigger and smaller. Women really go through this anyway, through the menstruation period. Menstruation is very much like the birthing process, and watching all these bodies exhibit the labor, like the expansion and contraction that happens in inner dance, it's exactly the same as giving birth. So we want to trust the body. That's just me anyway. We've never had problems. We've always said yes. And the mother herself holds that confidence. So if the mother is confident and we're not, there's something wrong. You can take this even to a less obvious stance. The one giving birth is not the mom, it's the baby. The baby is the midwife. The baby is actually the one to hold the waves. So if we're not able to trust the mother, we can at least trust the baby. So never say no. In any cases, there's never an instance where we would say no to any disease, disorder, mental, physiological. It's always good because the waves that we're introducing is non-invasive. It's something that's already inside to begin with. So what wave needs to come will come. It's always perfect.
Thank you, Pa. Hello. So you recommend it in non-sequential music, not in the sequential music.
Okay, so where the energy we hold matches the birthing is in the music and in the inner dance is contraction and expansion. So when we're helping a pregnant woman release fear, usually when a contraction is happening, that's when you hold the expansion. But to answer your question, let's say if we have control and we've got the music and hold, if an expansion is happening, you can bring in small contractions. It doesn't have to be too big. Whether that be through sequential or simultaneous music, it would help. So it's knowing the science and the language of contraction and expansion. When an expansion is happening, put in the contractions. When the contractions are there, bring the expansion. That's simultaneous. It's not sequential. That's not about the music. That's about the event. So the music would counteract what's happening on the physical plane.
Thank you very much, Pai, for your availability, for your wisdom, for the sharing.
This is actually one of the deepest Zoom meetings I've been in. So there's something about this group, these people over there in this situation that is very magical, as always. I'm really glad to have been pulled into this this meeting. I want to show you what's happening here. Cute. Okay, maybe that inspires the journey that's going to be there. So I'm looking forward to hearing feedback and how it works. Thank you. Have a good one. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, see you.
Okay.
And we'll talk about Germany as well.
Yeah, okay. Bye. Have a good one.
Thank you very much.
Love
Bye.
to everyone.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night.